Everybody's got to buy into that standard, or you really can't have any team chemistry. You know, mediocre people don't like high achievers, and high achievers don't like mediocre people.
All good.
All right. Coach, welcome to the Tactical Take. My name is Riff Clichards, and this is episode number 1, powered by Tactical Edge Pro Shop. Gain the edge. Here with me today is Coach Jeff Lewis. He's the Director of Hockey Operations at Rossay Netherwood Prep School down in Rossay, New Brunswick, and head coach of the U18 boys program. Jeff is entering the 14th year, is it, Jeff?
Correct.
Entering his 14th year, and he's competed in the Prep School Hockey Federation, Midwest Prep Hockey League, and Canadian High School Sport Hockey League, and my CSSHL. So you can explain what that is to me here in a little bit.
Sure.
He's a 2-time MPHL Coach of the Year. He's also a scout with the Moncton Wildcats since 2017. Coach, listen, people don't just magically end up in your position, in your role, running a program like this for 14 years. Take us back to the beginning. Where did you start your coaching journey? And tell us about the years that built on your career.
Yeah, sure. First, thanks for having me. This seems like a pretty fun project you're diving into. So happy to be part of it. I guess maybe from a really young age, like I always enjoyed working with kids, even I think in elementary school when you'd have those field days as an older student in the school, grade 6, I would always like to help out the younger kids and make sure they were kind of involved in things. My father coached for a long time before I was even born. So, even from day one, I was kind of traveling with him, and he coached the local Bantam team, it was called at the time. So U15 hockey now. And, just always around the rinks with him and around his teams. And, like anybody, just a love for the game and a little bit of a rink rat, I guess, so to speak. Sir. Like everyone kind of played and then got into coaching a little bit, helping my father out a bit, and then went to university and at university ran into a gentleman, Gardner McDougall, who now coaches the Moncton Wildcats.
Good,
and,
yes,
Gardner became a bit of a mentor with me, and I worked a bunch of hockey schools with him and his staff, just kind of got involved with it there. And then when I was at UNB, I took a kinesiology degree with a concentration in coaching. I thought, coaching and teaching was something that I'd always wanted to get into. And then when I moved back to Amherst after I graduated from university, I got involved with the junior team there as an assistant coach, and then eventually thought I was going to be in Amherst and teaching. I was teaching at a school called Pugwash District High School just outside Amherst, and was the athletic director there and phys ed teacher and doing some hockey locally. I got a call one day from this prep school in Rossay I didn't know a ton about, but I'd had a good friend and colleague, Jim Midgley, who was up here and coached here for a little bit at Netherwood School and Sea Dogs and Halifax Mooseheads, and eventually he was coaching with the New York Rangers in the NHL and various levels, and he kind of called me up when this job came available and thought I would be a good fit, and came up for a visit, and as they say, the rest is history.
It sounds like you built a strong network early on in your early days in Amherst. I've had the pleasure of meeting your father and mother, Grant and Rhonda, good people.
Yeah.
I tried to pull some strings behind your back and try to get a few stories out of Grant, but anyways, he did tell me a little bit about some of the background and coaching. You had that passion early on, and you knew that, so that was kind of cool. Meeting Gardner McDougall at UMB, how did that happen?
I think actually through the kinesiology program, we had to take so many like sports courses and activity courses, and he was teaching the hockey course at the time. So kind of got to meet him. He'd just gotten there, I think my second year at university. So, got to know him, and me and a couple of my buddies were running the intramural program through the athletic department. That was kind of our part-time job at university, and then always around the rinks, got to know him. We took on a couple projects together and just got to know him well. And then I'd go up and do their hockey camps with them in the summer, and fantastic, interesting, intelligent, he's awesome to be around. He's contagious, energetic, enthusiastic. And so it was good. And still friends to the day. And he's a mentor of mine, and I'm lucky to, have him as well as many others to lean on a bit in the coaching world.
100%. I like that you said that he has some contagious energy. You're right on that, and I think that's why during the Mem Cup they brought him in to the Sea Dogs. Right? There's something about Gardner McDougall that brings the best out of players. They just buy in,
Yeah.
right? Like it's the mustache, it's the mystique of him, and the pedigree's there. You go into the Aiken Center and it's just littered with banners, right? And a lot of that had to do with him. It's unbelievable, really. They must be one of the most winning programs in the university sport.
For sure. It's his hard work too, right? It's his work ethic and the time he puts in. Obviously, he's an intelligent man and knows the game, but it's how hard he works and his people skills. And that's kind of part of how he does what he does.
Okay. I want you to take me back to Amherst a little bit. You spent numerous years with the Amherst Ramblers. That's a junior A program, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So that's junior A hockey, right? You're dealing with young men, full of testosterone, a lot of egos, a lot of different things to manage. You were there from 2005 to 11. Those years, what did you learn about becoming a leader and developing young men to get to the next level or whatever their goals?
Yeah, that was an interesting. I had an opportunity to meet a guy by the name of Corey Crocker. Corey and I became good friends and still are to this day. And he scouts for the Detroit Red Wings, and we do hockey camps in the summer and coach together during our time there. And then we had a couple older gentlemen that were with us at the time that were great mentors to us in the coaching world. But again, it's like anything; it's not that different from this level that I coach now, or even, our kids' age or younger. I think it's setting standards and having realistic expectations and kind of making sure everybody understands, the importance of the group and the team and working hard together, working towards a common goal. Obviously, with different age levels, you can get into some different experiences, a little bit different personalities, but at the end of the day, it's hockey and people are people.
So you do have the skill set, and you're a teacher at RNS also?
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's coming natural, going to school, becoming a teacher, coaching all these years, learning how to deal with all the different personalities is just something that probably comes as second nature.
Yeah, absolutely. When you deal with people, it's hard to predict some things that are going to happen, good or otherwise, and you kind of have to it's like being a parent. You just have to kind of work through stuff and figure stuff out.
Roll with the punches. Growing up, what role did your parents and family play in your hockey journey? Do you find carrying some of those lessons in your coaching role today?
Yeah, obviously, I'm super fortunate to have the parents that I have. They're fantastic people. So, again, a blue collar family from a small town and hardworking parents that did everything they could for us as kids and, get you to the rink. Dad coached a lot, especially when I was younger. So yeah, they bring you to the rink, they bring you to the golf course, they bring you everywhere you need to go, the ball fields and all those things, and supported us.
That support's huge. I just met you over the last few years, but I see Grant and Rhonda at the rink all the time.
Yeah.
Right? They're traveling, I don't know, 2 hours or whatever the drive is from Amherst to Moncton. I see them there. I see them here in, the Hampton area. I see them in St. John. They're still very involved in your life, the grandkids' life. And that's huge. That's important, obviously. Set the standard of the Lewis family.
Family's super important and support and those things. So they're active and they're fortunate to be able to follow Dax around and watch some hockey and Sadie too with her dance. I know you're a dance dad and a hockey dad, so you know it. Super fortunate. You coach sports teams, whether it's hockey or whatever. That's kind of you're into a pseudo family, so to speak, right? Same philosophies and same things you would at home.
What's harder for you, being at the rink and coaching a game, or watching the stress of your daughter doing a solo?
Ooh, yeah,
that's rough, man. I don't know how they do the solos.
That's tough. Sometimes at the rink, I get to be on the bench, and that helps. You feel like you get a little more involvement, but it's always fun and rewarding to watch your children do stuff. But you always want to see them do their best.
It's very different than hockey. I'm the type of dad that goes to most of the practices. Especially when he was younger, I would go to the practices. I enjoyed that. But dance, I drop her off at the studio. She puts in 12 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's insane, right? So I drop her off at the studio. I don't see her for 4 hours in the evening. I pick her up and I'm like, how was your night? And she's like, oh, it's good. I'm tired. I don't think I really appreciated how much work they're actually doing until they put it out on the stage, and then it's just mind blowing when you see the choreography and like one person screws up, it throws the timing off of everything. Like it's
and it
pretty
is
impressive.
It's kind of rewarding, like you said, to see the end product and how much they've improved and grown. And in a little bit different if it's an individual thing. There's a little more spotlight and stress maybe on the individual. It's easier sometimes with team sports or group activities because everyone's kind of out there together.
Back into hockey a little bit.
Sure.
I'm very interested as the director of the hockey program down there. I watch from afar, and I really don't understand the league structure, why certain prep schools are in the MPHL, and then others are in the Prep School Hockey Federation, and now they're in the CSSHL. So take me through that. Is that like the natural progression?
Yeah, I think we were just trying to find the best fit for the team and the program. So I would say like 05, 06 is when RNS kind of started to, because they competed, I believe, in the high school leagues and stuff, and then they kind of tried to take it into the prep level where there was a little more travel, and being kind of one of two independent schools in Atlantic Canada, it's tough to find competition and stuff. So we had to travel a lot to Quebec, Ontario, the U.S., etc. So really it was just kind of whatever the league at the time best fit. So that PSHF that you mentioned, that was kind of a league. We had been part of a starting group, and it lasted a few years. And then we jumped into the Midwest Prep Hockey League, which had been around for 20 some years. And that was a combination of schools from the US and Canada, which was a good fit. Obviously the amount of travel was a lot of travel, a lot of hours on the bus and an expense for sure. And then, we started actually during COVID. We started a league with Ridley College, Stansted College, Bishop's College, and UCC and Trinity because we couldn't leave the country during COVID for those years. And those are true traditional independent schools. So, and the hockey's really good. It's probably the best hockey or some of the best hockey we play all year. So we still do that league as well as the Canadian Sports School Hockey League. So we still play that league. It's not a ton of games, but again, the quality of hockey is really good, and it's with those like-minded schools. We jumped into the CSSHL last year, so that's kind of growing. It's been really big out west, and it's kind of growing east a little bit more. So,
do you guys travel out west?
They're talking about doing a national championship this coming season, which could mean that we may have to go to Calgary or somewhere out west. Last year they did an east-west challenge, which they called it. It was in Quebec, but I think 8 teams came. 8 teams came from out west and same from the east, and it was really good competition. So we got to play all the western teams.
Nice. I did get a chance to watch a little bit of RNS this year. I think we're a late addition to the Monktonian, or was it the Ice Jam?
Yeah, the Ice Jam. We kind of had a little bit of a last minute call.
Yeah, it was down in Halifax. Listen, I'm down there at Vito's play and watching RNS play, and I'm always just secretly waiting for the matchup between the two to see who the top dog is. It's fun watching the boys compete, and you guys did really well down there. Did you went to the final?
Yeah, we lost to the Dartmouth Subarus in the finals. 3-1, I think, was the final score. But yeah, we had a really good weekend. Like, we played some really good teams, and we were playing well, and the guys were excited, and ended up having a fun weekend.
I've heard lots of good things about the Subaru team and the Halifax Max.
Yeah.
I know some of the kids on your roster, and there's a lot of talent there for sure. A good mix of some local guys and guys from out of town too, right?
Yep.
So managing this team and traveling as much as you do the boys ever struggle with their academics? I'm assuming you're on the road quite a bit, and they must have to, continue their schooling while on the bus.
Absolutely. So we always kind of say, the bus is the dorm on wheels, or campus on wheels, and the hotel is the dorm away from campus. So, even though we're gone for hockey, it's still following a schedule. Obviously, the teaching staff is fantastic at our school, and the support systems are in place, and the hockey is part of the school program. So obviously, everybody understands we do miss a little bit of time, but we do our best to try to make that up the best we can, or do some extra study sessions before we leave or when we come back. On the road a lot, we'll book study sessions into our trips, where we'll go to the kind of lounge area in the hotel, or the breakfast area or whatever, and have a study hall.
So do you kind of continue your teacher role while with the team also? I know you're probably not their teacher for specific subjects, but while you're on the road, if one of the players has a question, they can come to you, no problem. Be like, hey, coach, like, I'm struggling with whatever this math question, and and you'll sit down and help them out and do the study sessions and
I
stuff?
don't know how much I'm helping with grade 12 advanced math stuff or some of that. I've been removed, obviously, a while from university, but Nick Ewell, who coaches with us, and he played at Arness in grade 12 and then went on to university in junior hockey. He's with us, so he's a little closer to just being a student. So he's been a great help on the road. And
Sure.
Again, today with technology and the teacher's accessible, so the kids can, FaceTime call, text the teacher and help. And again, like with it, the difference of being a club team is you could have kids from 4 or 5 different schools playing on a club team, right? Like everybody is at the same school with us. So a lot of times you'll see the guys just helping each other out. Like the grade 12s are in a lot of the same classes, 11s, 10s. So, they're helping each other out when they can.
Who is on your coaching staff?
Just me and Nick Ewell. So Nick's originally from Nova Scotia, and he played, like I said, here in grade 12 and played some junior hockey and university hockey. And then he's getting into coaching too. So a good young coach, and he's part of the Gusto family and running that with Jordan DeLong. And then it's just Nick and I on the road.
So on the bench, and
we're
beautiful. I love it. We're going to get into a couple of quick hitters, Jeff. So
Sure.
I don't want you to think too much about that, Coach. Just kind of, whatever's off the top of your mind. And if you want to expand on that, feel free. I'd like to know what's the fastest way to get benched on a Jeff Lewis team?
Yeah, I think we try to set the standard early. Things like work ethic and enthusiasm and being a good person and being a good teammate are just your non-negotiables. Guys are always going to make mistakes. It's a chaotic, fast game, so there's always going to be mistakes and things like that. But probably, if there's lack of work ethic or bad body language or kind of being not a great teammate at times, those are things we'll kind of address how we can. And, a lot of times ice time is the currency that you have to deal with. But
And what's one thing that players do that absolutely drives you crazy?
Oh, just one.
Well, there's probably multiple.
Actually, one of my biggest pet peeves is probably just the amount of times that they're on their phone and distracted. Like, you really have to try to help them learn how to prepare properly and clear their mind and get focused, and then how quick they want to get on phones after games. And I don't know what they're doing, checking stats or calling parents or advisors. It's just about kind of being present and with your teammates, right? And being with the team and enjoying that. And, I know there's time for it. Like, we'll be on 14-hour bus rides and they send the same Snapchat picture that they've sent 100 times, and I don't know who it's going to or what the update is, but it's kind of the life that they live right now, and it can be frustrating.
That different? It's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, Jeff, because I think about it all the time, and I harp on my son about it. I've become the old man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Back in my day, we used to do this, and we go for bike rides. I've been struggling with this for years.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a decent neighborhood here, and down the street, there's 3-4 other streets full of kids.
Yeah.
And to get my kids to get on a pedal bike, ride down the street and ride up and down the block and try to find new friends, it just doesn't happen.
I know.
Right? Like, that was my bread and butter as a kid. I'd go find friends and we'd get a street ball game going or, ball hockey game. You didn't have the social media and the supercomputer in your pocket that would just eat up your brain space. So I think it is important to manage that a little bit. And as you say, you see it as a coach, to get on these kids and just slow them down on that a little bit so they can actually appreciate the moment or reflect on a good win or a bad loss.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. We try to, have rules in areas where we don't have phones or don't let them have phones at certain times, just to try to help dial that in.
100%. All right, Coach, this or that, hard work or hockey IQ?
I'm a big hockey IQ fan. I think that has to be, the separator and how you move up or one of the more important ones. But work ethic is obviously non-negotiable. Like, that has to be there.
Or practice habits or game performance?
Practice habits, because I think your practice habits then would turn into your game performance. So process.
Love it. Leadership group or full team leadership?
Full team leadership. I think everybody has a role to play, and leadership's an interesting thing, right? It's not just the coach saying something or a couple guys in the room saying something. Everybody can bring something to the table regarding leadership, and that's as simple as keeping yourself accountable with work ethic and process and where you're supposed to be and when you're supposed to be there and all those things.
Yeah, that's real important. A guy that doesn't have the C or A on their chest can still bring something to the team.
Absolutely. And it's doing those things that you know you need to do sometimes when you don't want to do them, right? Or when nobody's kind of watching and paying attention.
Yep. Forecheck or neutral zone trap. Do you like an offensive defenseman or the old school stay-at-home defenseman?
There's a little, sometimes it's what the player has in their toolbox to work with, right? Everybody's a little bit different. So you'll get some guys that are more naturally offensive, and that's their role. Some guys can defend a little bit stronger and better and maybe don't have the skills that an offensive guy has. So it's really getting the best out of your group. I don't think you can have 6 of one and, none of the other. So you got to have a mix. And again, everyone can work hard and defend hard.
Do you find that the defensive defenseman, is that a bit of a dying breed, or they're like few and far between?
No, I mean, I think the game has changed quite a bit, and we do a lot of work with skill stuff, and so everyone's skill is maybe getting a little bit better. But I think, if you look at a Lane Hudson or some of these smaller defensemen in the NHL right now, like they defend well. They're maybe not the Chris Pronger, Darian Hatcher, old school guy, but they defend well because of their ability. They defend with their feet and their skating and their sticks. And so, the game's changed a little bit. And it's how well you can get the puck back or defend and quickly you can get the puck back.
Move the puck. You prefer a multi-sport athlete or someone that does hockey year-round?
Multi-sport athlete for sure. I think, especially at younger ages, like I think you're just developing a plethora of skills that are transferable to hockey or whatever you choose to do. So sure. I think there's an age where you get, a little bit older and you have to maybe focus a little more on one sport because, every sport wants you 5, 6, 7 days a week. And it's hard to do it all for kids and parents. And there's the training aspect, right? The off ice training, the fitness training, the rest recovery. But I think at younger years, 100% play as many sports as you can.
For sure. My boy was multi-sport, and he still is, but he reached a point. I think they're at the age now. They're at this U15, U16, U18 age. If you want to kind of stay competing at a high level, you have to start doing a little bit more to kind of keep up a little bit. We couldn't manage football and hockey at the same time, right? It was just impossible at this age group.
Yeah, and all the seasons start to overlap a little bit, right? And
their bodies are all beat up. Like it's tough.
Yeah, so you need to have that recovery time for your body, but there's other sports that complement them. You know what I mean, like golf and some other things. But it's nice too if they have those skills. I think so. If they go to a university, for example, they can jump in an intramural soccer league and meet people and meet friends or flag football or whatever it is.
Excellent. Like a short bench. Or do you roll 4 lines?
It's a good question.
Pass.
It's easier to manage at times, I guess, for minutes. It all depends on, again, the situation. Like I think if you look at teams now in the NHL, like they're 4 lines deep, and there's a couple lines that get some more minutes, but you kind of need, it's a fast game.
And I think those 3rd, 4th line guys, when they are out there, their role, they got to get out there and grind, right? They're the wear on the other team and kind of
like
put a beat on them a bit.
The strategy there for sure, right? And then you look at the NHL right now and how many 3rd and 4th lines are chipping in with scoring and kind of bring the intensity and no.
I tell you, I'm liking watching these Habs right now, Jeff.
Yeah, they're fun. They're a fun team to watch.
Fast, fun, and they have a little grit to them, right? Like they're not playing soft, so it's good to see. All right, let's get into some sty.
Okay.
A couple sty questions here, Coach.
Sure.
Which has more sty? Is it the visor or is it the full cage?
Like the bubble, you mean, for guys our age that have
bubble,
to wear
the fishbowl. Coach.
I don't know. I'm not a big sty guy, so I probably traditionalist and would say the cage. I don't know.
You're a cage man. All right. How about a full flow or a buzz cut?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll say flow right now because I don't think I can grow one anymore. So
could probably go to the party out of the back.
So it wouldn't come in all the right spots. Yeah.
An overtime win or comeback win? Which one's more energetic?
Yeah, I think anytime your team can come back and show that resilience and that's exciting. So yeah, I like the comeback ones.
Excellent. All right. What do you look for in a player that usually never shows on a score sheet?
I mean, hard work doesn't always show up on a score sheet, right? Or being physical and certain habits. Like I think you can, watch a player that has really, really good habits and good work ethic, and maybe it doesn't show up on the game sheet that day you're watching them. But, I think again, it's habits, little things. Do they change hard? Do they pick up their guy? Are they communicating? Are they finishing their checks? Are they angling well? Like there's so many, little things that are so important that again, they don't show up on a game sheet.
Yeah. And you need those little things to win,
100%.
really, right? It can't just be the coast to coast hero who pots the goal every time. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things. I'm just a hockey dad, right? That enjoys the game, but I do see that there's things that happen away from the puck that help contribute to the win, right? There's all kinds of things of, being in the right position, you're back checking hard, things that are away from the puck that really make the difference.
So then even the times with the puck, right? Like, they say if you look at the elite, hockey players, if the puck's on their stick for a minute or two a game and they're the elite ones at a 60 minutes or whatever they play in a game, 20 minutes, like what are they doing for the other time?
Yeah.
Right. When they don't have the puck. And I think that's the stuff I think you can watch.
100%. Is there anything that you notice within the first 10 seconds of a shift kind of dictates the pace of the game?
I don't know if the first 10 seconds, but obviously, how you start games is important. So if you notice you got some good jump and guys are moving, working hard, finishing bumps, managing the puck well early on, trying to get it in deep to the other team's end to kind of set a tone, I think. And again, even just being face-off ready, we talk about a lot with our guys is just being face-off ready. That kind of shows a coach or whoever that you're dialed in, you're ready to compete. And
that's part of the body language thing, right?
Big time.
You gotta look like you want it.
100%.
Right. So that's obviously important to a guy like you.
Yeah, I think any coach would say that, I think.
Perfect. I like it. What can a player do today that can make them better?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say first and foremost is your recovery phase. Like you got to take some time, away. If you've got injuries, right, you got to look after those and let your body kind of recover and get strong again. And then, the physical fitness part of the game. And again, any sport, that's a huge part of it, right? So it's training with somebody, following a proper schedule, making sure you're getting stronger in the areas that you need to, physically. And then you can get into some skill stuff, right? And, kids can always work on their shot. They don't need ice for that. Like they can, there's a bunch of things they can do away from a fitness center or rink to keep working on it. Maybe the biggest thing right now, and I've tried to get my son to do this a little bit more too with the playoffs going on, is just watch hockey and not highlight clips, not goals, not the fancy whatever Michigans and things like this, and just like watch hockey and pick a player that maybe you like, or maybe you feel has a similar style, or you want to play like that player, and just kind of watch that player if you can, and the things that they do.
It's important,
right, away from the puck and at all the time they're on the ice.
It's essentially film review, right? If they can watch the game and not just watch the puck going around. In the football world, like everything is about film review.
Yeah.
You can you can scout a team and know what to expect, kind of know how to counter their moves, come up with a game plan, possess the ball or eat out the clock, right? None of that happens without film. The moment film was introduced into my coaching life and coaching football, it changed everything. I went to the provincial championship in high school and we got absolutely cooked by Harrison Tremble High School.
Yeah.
We were undefeated, 8-0. We thought we were, we're just going to go up there and take care of Tremble the same way that we did everybody else.
Right.
And we got absolutely shell-shocked because they were doing things that we'd never seen before and just weren't prepared for it.
Right.
Right.
And that's that's huge, right?
It's massive. So then I took that into my coaching. I started coaching here in Hampton and won a championship with Hampton High. But
Nice.
literally the whole thing was film review.
Yeah.
Like the whole season, scout the opponent, prep. And, I was a defensive coordinator, so I caused a few turnovers and a couple interceptions based on just the other team's tendencies.
And that's fun too as a coach, right? When you see that stuff kind of happen and see them get rewarded. But again, back to like coaching in general today and how much sometimes things have changed. Like that's super time consuming, right?
It is.
Like going through, like it's a important part of the game and it's a great teaching tool. But for a coach to break down games and all those things, it's time consuming for sure.
100%. You're right on that. How do you build confidence in a player, especially like a player that might be a little bit down on themselves?
Yeah, confidence is a tricky one because I feel that's a lot of that is internal, right? So I think confidence comes to athletes when they train hard and, they feel prepared and they do everything they can do to control what they can control, and they work hard in practice. And if they have questions, they ask. And if they know the set plays and whatever, then in the systems or, that stuff helps build confidence. I think sometimes people think coaches can just like give a quick little rah-rah speech and it gives you confidence. That's not always the case. I mean, I think you need to, if players make mistakes, you have to play them through it sometimes and talk to them and, help that way. And I think coaches can play a part in that, obviously, but I think a big part of it comes down to, it's like if you were going in to write a test, and if you're really prepared for it, then you feel confident going 100%. In, right? And you're
I was shell shocked a few times,
right? But again, if you look back, probably didn't prepare as well, and that's kind of where that comes from, right? So I think a lot of it is on the athlete, and the coach is there to kind of help and assist. And
have you ever intentionally slowed the pace of the game to protect your team's mentality?
Yeah, I think there's times if you feel the team needs a breather or just kind of recollect themselves, there's some ways that you can try to slow it down a bit.
What tells you that a team is about to break? Is there a moment in in the game where you can see that, all right, I think I got this team where I want them as a coach? Is there a tell that they give off that you can see?
I don't know if there's a necessary tell, but obviously if you see a team start to get really frustrated and show bad body language, or they're barking at each other, that's you can just kind of tell they're not dialed in as a team. And if that's your opponent that's acting that way or performing that way, then you just want to kind of keep at them and keep at them and keep at them.
It's kind of the body language thing. You see the other team and there's a guy that's starting to take bad penalties, right? He's finding himself in the box 2-3 times for, and the penalties are getting more egregious each time. Do you have a guy on the bench? And I have a guy in my mind, Brendan Duplessis. Like I call him the tornado. The guy, he is the absolute dog that I would send out there, right? I'm not a hockey coach, but if I saw a guy that was kind of starting to lose it a little bit and be agitated, I'd take a guy like Brendan and be like, hey, go out there and just give him a little, the stuff away from the puck.
Right.
To try to draw the penalties. Is that something that you think about?
Not really so much. No, I just
that's a hockey dad thing.
Yeah, usually though, I'm really bad at, like, if we'll play a team and somebody will ask me about a player on the other team, and I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm so kind of focused on my group and our guys that I don't maybe notice as much about an individual player. You're trying to watch obviously for team tendencies and structure and habits and that stuff, but not so much. And I think the older you get, the players all know each other today too, so they kind of know who can get a little rattled easily, and they kind of pay more attention and do that on their own.
What's tougher, pulling a hot goalie after one bad period, or sticking with a cold goalie far too long?
I don't think I'd pull a hot goalie after one bad goal.
All right, there we go. That answers
but
that.
There's been times where you probably leave a goalie in, and it can go either way. Yeah, perfect examples last night in the Montreal game. And you seen Marty St. Louis, I think Dobish let in 4 on 3 shots or 3 on 4 shots. Or sorry, 3 goals on 4 shots.
First period, man, it was back and forth. It was score.
And they stuck with him, and then he shut the door after that, right? So goaltending's a really tough position. I never played it. They've got their own coaches now. A lot of times, obviously, it's still team coach, but they kind of do their own thing, and a little bit maybe like a quarterback in football or a pitcher in baseball. Like it's a team game, but it's a little bit of
you're on an island.
Yeah, a little bit on an island as a position, and then you get to be the hero or the GOAT in that position a lot of times too. So,
how do you process as a coach a decision that directly costs your team a game?
Yeah, I think as a coach, you take responsibility for it for sure and address it. You have to take responsibility for it, and let the players know that because they know, right? It's a team sport, so if one guy makes a mistake in a game, that's a player. You don't expect everyone to kind of come down on them. Own your mistakes and learn from them and move on. And sometimes I find in coaching, it's a fine line between looking like a genius and looking like a bozo too, right? Like you could do something, people are like, what is he doing? And if it works out, you look like,
you're a hero.
The guy knew what he was doing the whole time.
And if not, you're an idiot.
Right. So it's a fine line sometimes.
Yeah. What moment creates more pressure for you as a coach? Is it protecting a lead or chasing one?
Again, it all depends kind of on the game and how things are going. Like if your team is down, but they're pushing and you're getting your chances and your opportunities and you feel good, like you don't really, you want them to have success, obviously, but you may not feel stressed. But if you're up a goal, but the other team is all over you and you just feel like, hey, this is just a matter of time here. So maybe it comes back to, like you said, trying to find ways to slow the game down, call a timeout, do whatever you need to do to kind of refocus everybody a bit. But there's all kinds of stress on the bench at all kinds of different times.
That situation that you just explained, right? They're all over you and you need to slow the game down a little bit. Timeout is an easy way to do that. If you're all out of timeouts, is there another way that you can slow the game down? Is there any secret trick to the trade that you're willing to disclose here today?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you can just kind of be slower on your line changes, maybe, or maybe you have a quick chat with a ref while your assistant coach is trying to get guys back on track. And sometimes you'll see goalies like fix their pad, or they've got a gear malfunction or something, right?
That's where I was going with that one, Coach. I've seen that a few times in the coaching world here, and as a dad watching from afar, it's like, there's the classic, the strap fell off the goalie pad and he needs to do the adjustment thing. And it's a way to slow down the game, and I've seen it actually really frustrate an opposing coach to the point where, like, he was losing his marbles. He started then yelling at the refs and got himself technical because he could see the game behind the game, the playing around and slowing the game down and doing odd things that would affect the flow of play, right? And that drove him nuts.
Or the net getting knocked off. Like, and I've known coaches that have signals they'll give their goalies, right, to kind of do that and slow it down.
That's hilarious. That's in overtime. Do you coach an aggressive style of play in OT, or do you prefer to be patient with it?
I think that's kind of a mindset thing. Like sometimes athletes will get nervous in those situations, but it's you're trying to get them to take the more positive kind of, like, this is an opportunity to win a game. And I think with overtime, like, it's a puck possession game. So you want to win the opening face off, right? And you don't want to force any plays that aren't really there to turn the puck over potentially. Like, again, if you watch NHL and 3-on-3, guys, if they don't see something they like, they'll come back out of the zone and kind of regroup and, get a line change, but keep possession of the puck, because obviously that's the, kind of the name of the game. And then
that's probably very important in 3-on-3 is only line change when you have possession of the puck.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, like that whole puck possession and overtime, especially 3-on-3 is a little more 5-on-5.
Do you like the 3-on-3?
Yeah, I think in the regular season it's fun for the the spectators and the fans, and it's exciting and there's lots of opportunities. And
I hate it.
I think the regular season it's okay, but it's tough if you're like in a world championship or playoffs. So I think you stick to the 5-on-5.
It's a rough way to lose in a championship or in a high stakes game is when they go to 3-on-3, because anything can happen.
Absolutely.
You get one bad bounce and then all of a sudden it's over.
Yeah.
Right. It's a tough one. I was about to ask if your overtime strategy is something that's more pre-planned or is it more instinctive? From what you just said, it sounds like there's a lot of kind of planning that goes into it. Like you probably go over those situations with your team.
Yeah, I think we do 3-on-3 in practice, right? You do shootouts in practice to kind of see who's, good at what. And again, I think there's a philosophy in place, right? That you again, puck possession, you want the puck and make smart decisions and try to manage it and all those things. But at the end of the day, it's the players playing and they got to make the reads and the decisions. And
who's the best coach that you ever had, and what made them great?
Oh, well, I obviously have to say my father for sure. Just, ability to communicate and care and have fun and teach and, educate. I don't ever really remember him yelling and screaming or, those kinds of things. So, but yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, kind of calm and cool and had fun with it. And like I said, talk to the players and the athletes.
I've met your old man and he is a calm, collected fella. So I'm assuming you didn't have a whole lot of those car rides home where you got the lecture?
No, not really. Not much like that. Obviously, I think if there was games where you didn't work hard, they would just have those conversations as parents, and that's the importance, right? And all the other life lessons that come with sports and hockey. But yeah, really didn't get too much into performance and those things.
I've learned along my way not to do that. It took a while.
Yeah,
it took a while for me to learn.
It's hard not to sometimes.
In the younger years, I found myself doing that a lot. Always lecturing, right? And if you point out mistakes too much, especially when you don't know what you're talking about, it becomes a bit of an issue, right? So I learned that early, and I was able to nip it in the butt pretty quick. And then I just let him do his own thing. And his game, you know, in my opinion, has kind of stayed on a steady track of getting better slowly. I don't really harp on him too much. You know, it's hard enough as is. Then to then get in the car after and hear it over and over and over, right? That's tough. So is there a moment that you'll never forget as a coach? Championship or a tough playoff win, anything like that stands out?
Yeah. So we, I think it was the second time we won the Midwest Prep Hockey League. We were in Buffalo playing the championships. There wasn't much time. There wasn't much time left in the game, and we were down a goal. I think we were down 1-0, and we were all over them. Their goal, it was hot. You know, so it's getting late in the game, and you're starting to get that feeling like, you know, we may just run out of time here.
Yep.
So I forget what happened. I think the other team called a timeout with 2:12 left on the clock. So I don't know if you know the story of 212. Like,
No.
water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So they talk about, you know, the story of how water up to 211 is just hot water, and then that 1 degree from 211 to 212 is what makes it boil. And they talk about all the things you can do with boiling water, power locomotive, right? All this stuff. So
This is awesome.
so it's a little bit of a kind of a story or feel that we tell, right? And kind of the power of 212. So call a timeout. The other team called a timeout. Because we were all over them. There's 2:12 left on the clock. It was February 12th.
Oh, jeez.
And the trainer on our bench, who wasn't with our team, he was somebody from the tournament they provided.
Yep.
So I kind of remind the guys of that, right? And try to just find a little motivation. We talked about some things, and I said, and boys, 2:12. And the trainer goes, 2:12? Yeah, that's my birthday. I go, pardon me? He goes, yeah, today's my birthday, February 12th. So it was almost like you looked at your assistant coach, you're like, dude, we can't not win this game now, right? Anyway,
the stars aligned.
Minute whatever left, we scored, tie it up, score again, you know.
Finish them off.
Yeah.
That right there.
Yeah,
that's great, man.
That's kind of fun.
That's
like,
a cool story.
Winning's always fun, you know what I mean? Like you remember, you know, the winning, but there's, you know, all kinds of different things where you know, help kids or they come back and talk to you about how much they appreciated their time, you know, with you and at the school and with their teammates. But one of the biggest things is probably just seeing the guys that stay in touch with each other as they move on, right? And go to school, university, and adulthood and all those things. It's cool that they, you know, stay in touch.
I like it as a coach myself from football. When an athlete comes back years down the road, and you get to see where they're at in their life, and they, you know, they're married, they have the child of their own, whatever. Like I got a guy down the street here. I have two kids that really stand out in my mind as throughout my coaching in football, and they're both here from Hampton. And one was a quarterback. Sean Hickey was his name, and he went on to TCU University. Baseball was his thing. He was a pitcher, so we ended up going to TCU and throwing the ball down there. But like that was huge to go play D1 baseball pitching. And then there's a guy down the street right here, just bought his first house. Him and his fiance. He's a working man now and a homeowner, and it's cool to see them grow into young men. And when they say you had an impact on that, it's pretty rewarding.
Absolutely.
Right? Coaching's
Absolutely.
rewarding that way. So I've always enjoyed that.
And really what it's, you know, what it's all about, right? Like there's very
100%.
few that get to make it to the highest level. But again, you know, if they can build lots of relationships along the way and learn lessons, that's kind of what it's all about.
You have any advice that you would give your younger self now that you're grown and understand life?
I don't know if I understand life, but I'm definitely older. Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest things maybe in coaching, and maybe yourself, you notice this too, is kind of when you become a father. Like I feel like that kind of changes a little bit. Like I remember coaching junior before I was, you know, a dad, and they're older, younger men, and maybe you kind of, you know, yell and scream a little bit more, you're a little bit harder on them, and then at the end of the day, you kind of realize they're still kids, and
for sure,
right? And your kind of job, I think, as a coach is to kind of mentor, parent, coach, and help. And there's times you have to have tough conversations, but probably don't maybe yell or scream as much as I used to.
For myself, I would always coach my kids and even parent my kids. And looking back, if I could tell myself something, it would be realize that they're kids.
Right.
I used to treat like when Xander and Roz were, let's call it 6, 7 years old, I'd be treating them like they were 14 then, right? And expecting that type of responsibility out of them and attitude or to understand things. I was always pushing them faster and harder than maybe I should have at that time. It was worked out okay, but looking back, I'm like, maybe I should have just treated him like a kid.
Yeah, and I think hindsight's 20/20,
Yes,
right? You always
100%.
look back and could maybe change a few things, but I think you just do, the best you can do at the time with the
100%.
information you have and what you think's the right thing.
That's all we're doing. That's all we're all
That's
doing.
all we're-
is trying to make the new generation just a tad bit better, 1% better than
Absolutely.
I'm going for 100% better, but any percent is better, and then we're on the right track. So that's good. Why do you still love the game of hockey, Jeff?
Yeah,
What is it about the game that this keeps you intrigued?
I don't. Yeah, that's a tough question, but not. I think I just really enjoy the whole team building thing, like bringing a bunch of parts and pieces together at the beginning of the year, and every year is unique and different, and trying to mold and get everybody on the same page and understand that the sum of the parts is better than the individual kind of thing, and
For sure.
and that can't really always be measured in championships and wins and losses and those things. It depends on the group, from year to year, but I think that's kind of the fun thing. And again, if you can be around sports or hockey or whatever a passion is, then it doesn't really feel like work.
Listen, hockey creates lifelong memories. Okay. As a coach, for sure, you've helped develop countless players over 14 seasons now at RNS. But now you're going to be watching your own son. He's entering the U18 prep boys. He's going to be under your wing now. You guys are going to be on the road together, traveling. Does it give your journey in your hockey life now a different perspective, a different feel that you're going to be working and coaching your son, Daxon Lewis?
No, it's his journey, right? So, obviously anytime you can spend time with your kids, it's nice. Like, I've missed a lot of time with my kids because I've been on the road with my job and coaching. So it's nice that we can spend some time together. I don't know if he'll feel the same way at the end of the year, but you got to try to enjoy, he's going to be treated like any other student athlete or player at our school. And, it's, it'll be nice to kind of watch him continue to grow. And, he's going to work with, mostly Nick Ewell, who's the defensive coach, but yeah, it'll be a fun experience, hopefully.
What's going to be cool about it's his hockey journey, as you said, is in season right now, this season, he might not appreciate it. He might not see it. I guarantee once he's graduated high school and he's moved on in his life and he's starting his own family or whatever it may be, he's going to look back at these times, and these are going to be some core memories that stand out to him forever. It's so important, Jeff.
I hope so.
You've done a good job here with young Dax. And
thank you.
One of my favorite defensemen, I get a little nickname for him. I call him Dirty Dax Lewis. I remember when I first named him that, I think Rhonda was a little concerned or questioned. Why is he calling him Dirty?
I didn't. She didn't understand that was a compliment.
Understand. She didn't understand that me calling her grandson Dirty was a good thing, but it was his slick mitts, man. I think he danced someone out of their skates essentially and did what he does. But smooth defenseman, very, I find him and a young player named Jacob Cospoon, they kind of prowl around the ice. Like when they decide that they're going to go, they do have some offensive skill. They look like Lane Hudson to me, right? I'm watching the game last night and I had to pause it, rewind, and I'm like, Xander, come here. And he came out. I'm like, look at this. Look how he's moving there. I'm like, does that not look like Lewis? So it's special. So I'm glad you get to experience that and get to do that with your son. That's it's cool. It's quite the accomplishment, and congrats to you on that.
Yeah, thanks.
Got a couple hockey community questions here for you, Coach. We'll just give you one or two, and we can kind of go from there, and we'll wrap this one up. Can you describe your thoughts on player development from when the player first steps on the ice when they're young and all the way up through the hitting game to the age of 14, 15? Just what are your thoughts on that process and how to develop these kids the best way to get the most out of them?
Yeah, I think a big thing is being patient and kind of knowing where you want to get to, but also knowing that it's it's a bit of a road and a journey, right? Like I think a lot of times maybe as parents or coaches, if our kids are, maybe a little bit bigger, stronger, better at a younger age, all of a sudden we want to rush the process and skip some steps and maybe, move them along quicker than needed. Again, it just really is a long road. Like, I know sometimes people get pretty excited about the Q draft, for example, which is coming up, and that's an awesome thing for the, the guys that get to hear their name called, but, they're 15, 16 years old. And, if they,
not many are ready then.
Right. And if they truly love the game and play the game, hopefully they're playing, at 25 and, play some junior and some university if that's what they want and they're good enough to. But I think sometimes we get a little too tied up with how good we are young and we just got to realize it's a process and there's steps. One of the things I always tried to do with our group coming up with like the 2011s or younger guys is like, learn to play the game the right way and learn those habits and details. And those are the things that need to be the foundation. Just because a guy's good enough to maybe go end to end at 9 years old doesn't mean that's the answer.
That doesn't seem to transition.
It feels good, I'm sure, for the 9-year-old to go and score however many goals a game, but it's like, are you learning, what you need to help you at the next level and the next level? And
yeah, well said on that. Do you think that the checking part of the game starts a little too late? Do you think it should it have remained in Pee Wee?
Well, there's some places and philosophies that say it should start right from day one, right? You teach it like you teach any other skill, and they're at such a, small size, they're probably not going to hurt each other anyway if they do bump into each other. A lot of times they bump into each other anyway, playing, Timbits and whatnot and fall down, but maybe learn to angle and take bumps and those things earlier.
How to protect yourself.
Right. And it's tough sometimes when you get to that U15 level because you've got guys who are 6 feet and guys who are 4 feet and everything in between. So, Yeah,
I feel like that's a hard transition for a lot of players. It's like the first time you get into contact situation, it's with a guy that hit puberty and is all of a sudden 6 feet, like you're saying, and you're still not there, right? It's they're at a bit of a disadvantage, and it's probably scary for some of them, right?
And they're kind of big enough and strong enough where they, can do some damage if they don't hit properly or don't receive a hit properly. And if I was like a U13 coach, I would make sure I'm doing lots of angling and practice and small area games and just getting used to playing in tight areas, battle drills, on the wall and again, angling, skating, strength, all those things to make them that much more ready for
100%.
that.
Goaltending. This was brought up. There seems to be a development problem with goaltending at the highest level in our country as a whole. Why do you think this is happening, or do you think it's a problem?
Yeah, somebody was talking about this the other night on, I don't know if it's Hockey Night in Canada or one of the shows. I really don't know. I'm not really a goalie expert, but, I don't know if those things go in ebbs and flows. I don't know if it's, the price of hockey is crazy for youth and probably goalies is the most expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes goalies have to sit for an entire game and not play, so maybe that turns, some of them off, or maybe, when parents hear their youngsters say they want to be a goalie, they're like, I don't know, like
that was me, Jeff.
Right? I think that's a lot of people. Like it's a tough position. You're kind of on an island, so to speak, at times. There's games where you might not play a bunch of games, and you still have to make that commitment to travel with the team and go where they're going, and maybe that's what turns people off a bit. I'm not totally sure.
I don't know what it was for me, but I remember when it happened, and it's a core memory for my son. He brings it up to me all the time. You took this away from me. Yeah, I wanted to be a goalie, Dad. You wouldn't let me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, boy. And I remember because in minor hockey, they rotate through and the pads are all provided. So anyways, buddy of mine, Matt Troop, come up to me after one or two games. Xander was in net, and he was like, oh, I think you have a goalie here. And I'm like, no, I don't, because he won't be playing goalie. And I don't know why I had that in my head, but I think I had a seed planted in my head that it was going to be super expensive and that it limits his opportunities.
Right.
Where it could have opened up more opportunities, right? If he had been a stud goalie, maybe they're few and far between, really.
There's only one net, right? There's only two positions on a team. So, maybe that, people think too, it's limiting your chances of playing at a.
We got a lot of good goalies in our area right now in our son's age group.
Yeah.
There's
for sure.
We were just at an ID camp or whatever you want to call it, and there's 12 of them.
Yeah.
12 goalies there, and let's say 8 of them are a shame that some of them aren't going to have the opportunity to continue on that road if they want to, right? Unless they go elsewhere, right? It's just like it kind of comes to an end unless you're willing to travel or whatever, just because the spots are limited.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. Like if you're just doing practices and stuff, like they need some independent specific goalie training, right? That you need to almost seek outside of your normal practice time, or have a goalie coach that goes out with your team that can take the goalies for 20 minutes every practice to work on things. So
yeah. Excellent. Listen, Jeff, we're an hour and 7 in.
Wow.
We crushed it, buddy. Episode number 1, the tactical take. I really appreciate you coming in here and taking the time to sit down with me. I think you'll be impressed with what we'll be able to put out from this. And you're number 1. Here we go.
Well, this was a cool little idea. I'm glad I could be part of it, and hopefully it all goes like as well as you wanted it to. And I always appreciate our time just to sit and chat anyway. So it's just guys chatting with microphones in front of them.
Well, that's it. Just hanging out, buddy.
There you go.
All right, Jeff, we're going to shut her down, and you have yourself a good weekend.
Awesome, man. You too.